Hello, hello, it's Kevin here. So, we're going to take a look at number 4 of the Academic Writing Task 1 from Cambridge 17, yeah? So, we've done Cambridge 17 for essays. They're all done, videos in the group, on my channel on YouTube, wherever you're watching this. And we've done 1, 2, 3, this is number 4 now, I think, of the academic task ones. We had like a map, a couple of graphs and some pie charts, and here's another graph. So first things first, before we kick off, fair use. Got to put that up there just in case some people start complaining. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, so this is the one we're going to have a look at for today. I'll just have some tea. Now, this one is relatively straightforward. There's only 2 lines of information on the graph. My own sample, which I'll show you, is only about 165 words. You could pad it out by adding extra words, but it would just come off as kind of strange, as obvious. We don't really need that. So, the graph shows number of shops that closed, number of new shops that opened in a country, 2011, 2018. That's pretty much it. Got to summarize the information, select, report main features. Now, I was talking about this in a previous video or 2 about people not having a proper overview, not identifying the main trends, the key trends or features. And if you don't do that, you're going to get a low task achievement score. So we can see the closures is the solid line, openings, the dotted line. Okay, so let's have a look at mine first. So, as I say, 165 words, but it's enough. The graph illustrates the numbers of shop closures and openings in a particular country between 2011 and 2018. Okay. Overview. It can be seen that both closures and openings, in general, went down across the period, generally declined. If you look at it, you can see 8,500 finishes at just over 3,000. That's a significant decline. 6,500 to 5,000. So they've both declined across the period. That's pretty straightforward. Okay. Some considerable fluctuations. Well, yeah. Closures were more commonplace, as in, despite some ups and downs, by 2018, more closures, which we can see. More closures here at about 5,000 and openings about 3,000. So despite some fluctuations up and down, we can see that at the end there's more closures than openings. So that's pretty straightforward. So key trends and features, all right? The general trend is downwards. There's some fluctuations, but in general the trends are down. That's all that you've got to do, and for this one here, there's not a lot else that you can do. So now, paragraph 3 and 4, the data. 2011, the number of new shop openings were approximately 8,500, markedly higher than the number of closures, which stood at 6,200. Okay, that's a start point there. Okay. By the following year, 2014, openings had dropped to 4,000 and then recovered to just over 6,000. Which we can see, yeah, okay. Conversely, the closures were more stable and peaked, rose from 6,400 to just over 7,000. That's its peak. In 2013, is that the right date? Yeah, 2013, before reaching an almost similar number as openings. So in 2014, they're nearly pretty similar, okay. Then we have the dramatic fall of closures from 2014. That goes straight down, boom, to about 500. Before climbing again to just over 5,000. Relatively stable to the end of the period. So those 3 years, pretty much not a lot of change there. Okay. From 2014 onwards, closures fell, climbing again. In contrast, openings fell relatively steadily, more or less, from 6,000 to finish at 3,000. So that's kind of, drop, and drop, drop, drop. So it's going down from 6,000 to 3,000. Okay, so that's relatively straightforward there. Now, let me have a sip of tea. We'll take a look at yours. Now, a quick word. One of the key ways that you can vary your vocabulary, your lexical resource in this kind of a task, is how you describe. So, in these graphs or line charts, it's about rate and speed of change. So you can usually use either the adjective and noun or the adverb and verb. So let me just open a fresh bit of paper. So you could say, so instead of using the same expressions, rose fell, etc. There's lots of different language that we can use here, and we should try and make best use of it. So, say we're talking about an increase. So you could either do a significant, you could say so-and-so showed a significant increase. Okay, so you could do it like that. So you've got adjective, significant increase, a noun. Or you could do the adverb and verb. So-and-so significantly increased. Yeah? So you can do it in either one of these two ways. The significant increase, significantly increased. Okay? So that's just one way. So instead of using the same adjective, noun, you can use it adverb, verb, and you can mix these up. All right. So you've got, an increase, a rise, a climb. If it's a high point, a peak. If it's a low point, it's a dip. Does it rocket? Does it soar or plummet? Go straight down? So is it steady or gradual or stable? So there's lots of different vocabulary. Maybe I'll make a video on those a bit later. Actually, let me just make a note of that in my notey book, and maybe I shall do that a little bit later on. Let me just pause for a second. Okay, so I'll come back to this at a later date and tell you a little bit more about it. So this is 179 words. That's not bad. A line graph illustrates the amount of newly opened outlets. That's good. Recently shut down ones. Well, you can say recently closed, but recently shut downs. It's a little bit wordy, but still. 7-year period. So that introduction. Okay, that's good. What's the overview? What's it telling us though? Wide fluctuation in the trend for closures, by a significant. So right, what's the general trend? Well, the general trend, as I said, is, in general terms, both have fallen, have decreased. You've got 8,500 to 3,000. You've got 6,500 to 5,000. So the general trend is down. However, openings show the more significant fall. Despite the closures showing some dramatic fluctuations, the overall trend, 6,500 to 5,000, is not as marked as the openings from 8,500 to 3,000. So this is the information you need to include, I would say. So let's put a bit of shown as in the beginning. So again, that's not too bad, but it doesn't clearly show, what's the key trends. Okay, into details, walking into the details, I suppose. Let me put some changes on. I keep forgetting this. Right. The figures for newly opened, now centres, that doesn't necessarily mean the same as shops. Don't paraphrase if it's not going to work, if it's not interchangeable. Right, 8,000, it then went down from the figure. What? It went down. So what? Did it fall, decline, decrease, dip? Went down. That's, better language for rate and speed. I say, did it decline, decrease, fall, drop. What did it do? It then went down from the figure for closures, reaching to nearly 2,000 different. Well, right, this is not very clear. So, are you trying to say what I said? That the number of new shop openings were about 8,500, which was higher than the number of closures at 6,200. Is that what you're trying to say? Because that's not very clear there. In 2012, however, they took over from them again. They overtook, you mean? Because if you're going to do it like that, it's overtook, overtake, overtook. But from them again, from them what? I made a difference. Shopping centres, but it's not shopping centres, is it? It's not shopping centres. A shop is not the same as a shopping centre, like a shopping mall, etc. It's not the same. To a minimum, which is just below, right. Increase and overtaking can be seen. So there's quite a few things here. I'm not going to rewrite the whole thing. I haven't got the time nor the inclination. But you can see, some of the language here. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The coherence part of this will not score particularly highly, I think. So there's a few things that you need to look at here. Okay, so just below 1,000 shops in comparison after dramatic decrease and overtaking can be seen for 2016 where closures were smart. Right, it then remained unstable at that level, not in, until the end. For open shops, what's those ones? So a steep decrease, okay. That's not too bad, but you need to be careful. It's not shopping centres, it's actually shops. Outlets, that's not too bad, but an outlet, again, is not necessarily a shop. So, not too bad. Okay, let's take a look at the next one then. Now, this one here is a little bit, well, it is. It's obviously considerably short, 146 words. I mean, as I say, mine is only 106 and 65, because there's not a lot that you can really say for this one here. But 146 is a little bit sparse. So you've got that introduction, closures and openings of shops. So it's one of them shown in the graph. That could be expanded. Regarding closures, so is this supposed to be? So the overview, I put it paragraph 2. Descending order. What's a descending order? You mean a decline, a fall? Descending order doesn't really work. We get regarding, not regrading. Regarding closures, we can see it started. It from around 600 shops to a peak of 2013, and then till the 610 and an abrupt decline to a consistent order. How can fluctuating be consistent? That's not what a fluctuation is. So we can see that openings started at a peak in contrast with closure, and decreased dramatically. Well, is it a decrease or is it a fall by the year 2012 and rest? Okay, so this is essentially, right, let me show you what the examiners would think about this one. Let me get the criteria. Open. I'll show you. Okay, get me pen. Right, that's for essay, so scroll up to the top. Right. Okay. So, if there's no clear overview, right, and the recounting of detail is mainly mechanical, as in it goes through every single figure without describing the general trends, then that's what you get for task achievement. So, as it says, no relevant information could be added. You get a 9. Key features must be clearly presented and highlighted. So what's the key trends or features, right? Clear overview. The main trends are identified. Okay. So I've shown you how you can do that in mine. Okay? Both, because there's only two, closures, openings generally decline across the period, especially for openings, more closures. So that's for general trends and features, and then you go into the figures and the details. Sorry. So, overview. If you're not careful, that's what you get. If it's mainly mechanical, there's no clear overview. Okay, so get rid of that. Well, no, we'll just close the current tab. I'll leave that one there. Okie doke. So that needs a bit of work, I think. The next one, the graph compares 1 year in the one country or in one country over a period of. So I would say what the years were from 2011 to 2018. I would put that in the introduction book. Now, blocked shops, it's not blocked, it's closed. Shop closure, right? Shop closures and openings. Nothing to do with is anything blocked or not. That doesn't mean the same. So we can't really use that. We're more than the open ones. The both figures, okay, both figures. Decrease when the shop goes back. So, right, again, right, key trends and features. You need to clearly identify them. So this it identifies them kind of, but it's not very clear, right? That's all. No figures or data. And then, after the year figure was almost half at what? Well, the number of shops closed from almost 6,500 shops reached just under 6,000 shops. While the number of shops closed, so the figure was almost this is confusing me. So 8,500 shops open, as you figure, was almost half. Okay, well, the number of shops closed from almost 6,000 shops reached to just under 6,000 shops. You mean what, reached or fell? Declined. After that, the number of shop openings increased, rose. So is it increased or is it rose? We can't have both. Shop closure rose to just and then fell. Shop closures dropped, so increased by 5 shops, virtually stable. Okay. So again, you need to be as clear as possible. I mean, again, right, mine's pretty straightforward, right? So I'm doing comparison. Closure, opening, closure, opening. This went up, this went down, this converged. If you see, I'll just leave it here. So, in 2011, the number of new shop openings was approximately 8,500 shops. Higher than the number of closures, which stood at 6,200. Okay? So that's my starting point. 8.5, just over 6. Okay. Then, by the following year, so 2012, openings had dropped to 4,000, then recovered to 6,000. Conversely, shop closures were more stable and peaked 7,000 before reaching a similar number as openings. So we're now here, 2014. So I said it started here, that went down, it came back up here, that peaked, and it's approximately the same. So that's where we have got to then. And then, sorry, bit of a cough this week. And then from 2014 onwards, so I've split the graph essentially into half. So from this point to 2014, and then from 2014 to 2018. You don't have to do it in that way, I just found it easier. So closures fell dramatically. That's that bum all the way down, which is pretty dramatic, you have to agree. And before climbing again, just over 5,000, relatively stable to the end of the period. Yeah, fell, relatively stable, end of period. That bit there. And then, in contrast, openings fell relatively steadily from 6,000 to finish at 3,000. Yeah, 6,000 to 3,000. Okay, so you need to be as clear as possible as to what is going on, where, in what year, etc. Now, if you don't, the examiner is going to get a bit confused, and your cohesion and coherence score, I'll show it again. So there may be let me get that pen out. Yeah, so you need to be careful how you do it. Information generally arranged coherently. Okay, so you need to make sure that it's organized in a logical way, the data. If you're not careful, the message can be followed effortlessly. In some of yours, it's not so easy to follow. The message can be followed with ease. For some of you, it isn't. I'm having to struggle to understand precisely what you're talking about. So you need to be very careful about your organization, how you arrange the information, relationship of ideas, etc. Okay, so let's get back and see what we can see. There's only one more left after this one. There is a line graph. Well, yeah, what you mean, the line graph. The line graph compares the figures for the openings and closures of shops in one country, not necessarily a special country, from 2011 to 2018. Overall, as can be seen from the graph, there's a fluctuation in the number of both open and closed shops. Striking feature is a decrease in the number of closings, or closing followed by a dramatic increase. Well, okay, is that the most striking feature? Well, yeah, but still, it's the key trends or features. So the overall trend, as again, right, the overall trend for both is downwards, right? Because you've got this and it goes down. You've got this and it goes down. Obviously, this one is more significant because 8,500 to 3,000, whereas this one, 6,500 to just over 5. So while there's some dramatic fluctuations, the overall trend is down, but not as severe or dramatic as the previous one. So these are the key trends. We have to make sure we clearly identify these. In 2011, the proportion of closed shops, it's like that, and that for open shops about 8,500. Okay, in both closure and openings, the closed shops bottomed out. Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's not bad. After 2015, during 2017. So what happened in 2016? Increased dramatically, which is over 5,000, which is over 2018. So that doesn't make sense. So after 2015, 2016, during 2017, there were dramatic fluctuation in the open shops. Was it dramatic? It was proportion to. So that's not too bad. But still, it could be clearer. And you need to watch your article use there. So that's not too bad. It's not as misunderstandable as the previous one. There's a given bar chart illustrates number closures. Right. As what? There is no as. It's simply the given bar chart illustrates rate closure and inoculating. What does that mean? Inoculating. 7-year period in 2011 2018. In announced by what? Okay, starting by, you mean starting with openings. It's index days on the highest point. What does that mean? 8,011, and it declined rapidly to approximately half in the next year. Okay. Subsequently, the actors of opening. Actors? What does that mean? Again, and in addition to what? In addition, the market inaugurating. There's some vocab here that does not work at all. Fluctuation in the axes of closures. So that it starts. Starts, you mean it started. by over 6,000 and picked. What do you mean? What, picked rows or climbed? Surprisingly, why is it a surprise? Were you surprised? The units of closure shops increased rapidly from 1,000 markets. Markets, you mean shops? 2016 and stayed at that level. Oh dear, and stayed at that level. I say I'm not going to rewrite all of these with a slight growth at the end. Concisely, the axis showed the criteria of market closings. So is this supposed to be an overview? Because it doesn't really work if that's the case. So again, as in the previous video, the overview needs a fair bit of attention. Key trends. What's gone up? What's gone down? What's the biggest? What's the smallest? That's what you've got to get used to. And watch your vocabulary. So, anyway, that's enough. I've got to go. I've got some classes starting in a bit. I've got to sort myself out. So, I'll just leave mine for you to see. Okay, and I think that's all for now. So what I'll probably do is start with Cambridge 16 and put that up. And I still need to make a video for the general training letter, although there's only one, so that shouldn't take me a long time. So we've done Cambridge 17 for essays. I think this is all for writing task ones. I think so. I'll check it out. If so, I'm going to post the first one from Cambridge 16, test 1, and you can have a go at those. Okay, so I hope that helps. I'll see you next time.